Dot Money Pack gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3, MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
There's nothing like the thrill and excitement of horse racing. And now, the new home for all the best racing and all the top tracks is OTB-TV Digital Channel 8.2, delivering each day the best racing across the country and around the world. Whether it's Saratoga or Belmont here in New York, Florida's Gulfstream Park, or California's Del Mar and Santa Anita racecourses, no other network brings you the grandeur of horse racing like OTB-TV on Digital Channel 8.2.
24 hours a day, 7 days a week, OTB TV is the Capital Region's choice for the most comprehensive and informative coverage of thoroughbred and harness racing. OTB TV is the only area network delivering a steady viewership, reaching more than 540,000 households throughout the broadcast day and into the evening. Capital OTB's digital presence also plays a tremendous part in getting your message in front of potential customers. With more and more wagering moving to online, CapitalOTB.com can put your message in front of thousands of potential customers 24 hours a day. And with the addition of our new mobile app, new customers will see your message on all their digital devices. To see how affordably you can reach thousands of new customers, contact Capital OTB's Sales and Marketing Department today.
Now get all the racing information you need right on your mobile device with Capital OTB's new mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone or tablet. Get up to the minute scratches and race results. Watch our morning TV shows. Check out the Handicappers Report. Find a branch or easy bet location and be up to date on all our latest promotions. It's everything you need to watch, wager, and win right at your fingertips. The new Capital OTB mobile app. Download it free from the iTunes Store or Google Play.
This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Keen Ice has got him! Keen Ice has won the Travers over American Pharoah in a dramatic upset. The Graveyard of Champions has claimed another.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday edition of Racing Across America, live from Saratoga. Week 2 for us. A couple more days. Week 1 of the race meet kicks off. We're looking forward to that. Plenty of good conversation this morning and the next few days as we run into the opening of the meet on Friday. I do want to alert you to promos and events coming up here at Capital OTB. Kicking off today, it is the Bet 100, Get 100 promotion. If you are not yet a Capital Bets account holder, now is the time to sign up. If you do sign up and play 100 between now and July 31st, and with the opening of the meet, that is not going to be hard. Capital OTB will put $100 into your new account. So keep that in mind. Between now and the end of the month, Bet 100, Get 100, the promotion has kicked off. Today, tomorrow, there is a $50 Vernon Downs bankroll. I've been administering those for the last few weeks. we've been close to some nice nights. We made a little bit of money last week. And then our second bet couldn't get it through, and we've had a couple of nights like that where we've made some money, and then we're looking to take off and just haven't gotten it. Tomorrow night, we're going to try it again. I'm looking for that real score, so we'll make everybody some money. 10 folks will be selected to play. You can learn out more information on how you can become a potential team member at capitalotb.com. Saturday, there's a $100 online harness knockout challenge sponsored by our friends at Woodbine. More information on that at capitalotb.com. And this should be a lot of fun. Sunday, Saratoga will be open. And if you want to enjoy Saratoga via the air conditioning down at the Clubhouse Racebook, you can take advantage of a fun Saratoga Sunday Pick 4 promotion. It's folks down at the Clubhouse Racebook who play the Saratoga Early Pick 4, and you have a losing ticket worth at least $20 or more. You can then put that losing ticket in the drawing, and at fifth race, after the fifth race, 2 winners will be selected to play a late pick 4, a $40.50 late pick 4, a 3x3x3x3 ticket. So you get a chance to play a nice little late pick 4 ticket if you have a losing early pick 4 ticket. Again, more information on that also, capitalotb.com. The Sunday pick 4 promotion at the Clubhouse Racebook. Coming up on today's show, a little bit later on, he's in the green room. And, of course, up here, it's literally green. It's right out there on the lawn. Jeremy Plonk, we usually talk to by phone, horseplayernow.com, night school, and much, much more. He's in town, so we're going to have him live at the table in a little while. A little bit after that, by phone, Peter Lorre from Indiana Grand, some ideas for Indiana Grand for today. Also, a little recap of the Indiana Derby, Indiana Oaks from last Saturday as well. That's coming up later. But now at the top of the show, very happy to be joined by Brian Boulet, the communications director from the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Seth. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely happy to have you here because there's a nice event tonight. We'll get onto that in a moment, and some of the other nice events coming up as the race meet goes. But why don't we just do a little overview first. For folks who don't know, Racing Museum right across the street from the track on Union Avenue. Very convenient, and folks are coming up here and want to combine that visit to the Racing Museum to their racing day. Talk a little bit about the summer hours.
That's right. We're open 9 to 5 every day throughout the meet. So, a lot of people come in the morning before they go to the track, so they make a day out of it. It's an easy walk right across the street. We're conveniently located. We have films on during the day about racing history. We've got one about American Pharoah that the Coolmore people helped us with, videos about Saratoga's history, plus all the exhibits, the Hall of Fame, tremendous artwork. We have an Equicizer, a racing simulator. So if you want to try your luck as what a jockey would do, we've got a great simulation for you there, and just so many great aspects of the history of the sport at the museum.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. Again, it's right across the street. If you're coming up here, you go to breakfast in the morning, maybe over to the Racing Museum for a couple hours, and then come over for the races. Make a day of it.
Absolutely.
All right, and I said, kicking off tonight, one of the events that there'll be plenty during the season, but I did want to kind of promo tonight's event, Saratoga Preview. You have a great panel, Ramon Dominguez, Graham Motion, Jack Wolf, and Tom Law. Tom, of course, of the Saratoga Special, Jack Wolf, Starlight Racing, and, of course, Graham, trainer, Ramon Dominguez, one of the favorite jockeys up here at Saratoga during his racing career. Great panel, obviously. Talk a little bit about time, admission fee, and that type of thing. There is an admission fee, so pump that a little bit, but talk about the time and what people can expect when they go to the panel.
It's 7 o'clock at the museum. It's free to come. We always get a very good crowd for this event each year.
Fee.
Yeah, perfect admission fee. You can't get a lot for free in Saratoga, so every now and then we try to have something. But this is an opportunity to talk to people who are key players in the racing industry and get to learn about how they got involved in the sport, ask them questions. What's it like? How did Ramon start to become a jockey? How did Graham Motion get his start? A lot of people don't know that he was an assistant to a steeplechase trainer, Jonathan Shepard, at the start, and has gone on to win the Kentucky Derby with Animal Kingdom and the Dubai World Cup. And then you've got Jack Wolf, who started one of the most successful racing partnerships out there, Starlight. He's got a horse in the Hall of Fame, a Shadow. He's had other champions, Shanghai Bobby. And then you've got Tom Law, a local guy who started at the Saratoga and went down to Kentucky with the Thoroughbred Times. Now he's working for the Clancy's with This Is Horse Racing and the Saratoga Special. So talk about it from a journalist perspective. So we've got a diverse panel, and they're all great guys too. So they're going to be fantastic to ask questions of.
Yeah, and you've alluded to it, and I will say that the press release says audience-driven discussion, and that's what's nice about it. The audience can come in. And if you have some questions about Saratoga, particularly with a jockey, an owner, a trainer in there, and a member of the media, behind-the-scenes kind of questions, this is the perfect place to answer.
You know, we always try to have diversity on the panel, whether it's an executive or from the track or somebody who's got a background in ownership. You know, a lot of people want to get involved in the partnerships these days. I mean, there's not a lot of people who can go out and spend millions on horses, but you can buy a piece and get involved. And Jack has had tremendous success with Starlight, and you know, Tom Law is an Eclipse Award-winning writer, and he's been to all the tracks, and he's seen it from the front side, the back side. You know, and Ramon, almost 5,000 career wins, going into the Hall of Fame this year. And they're all just great, personable people, too, as well.
Yeah, and so that's highly recommended. Again, it's 7 o'clock tonight, free to the public, right across the street on Union Avenue from the racetrack. I highly recommend you come up. It's an annual event now, right?
Yeah, it's one of our more popular things. We've been doing this for years, and Dick Hamilton started it when he worked at the museum, and Mike Kane continued it, and it's been a very popular thing that we do each year, and you know, we'll pack the room for it, so it's going to be a good event.
Speaking of popular events and packing the room, I know I've been on some of the panels. Kentucky Derby, you do a pre-Kentucky Derby seminar every year, Breeders' Cup as well, and those are also well attended, so people can mark those. Looking forward on the calendar as well.
Absolutely. Yep, we do. We're probably going to have one for the Travers this year. We did one last year that was well attended, so we'll have one for the Travers as well. And you know, we'll try to have some gallery talks that we're working on scheduling. So a lot of events throughout the season.
Yeah, they're always fun and, as you say, well attended. Let's talk about some of the other events coming up. Press release went out the other day. This sounds like a lot of fun. Tom Durkin's going to lead some guided tours over at the museum.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you talk about personalities in racing, and they don't get any bigger or more exciting than Tom Durkin. And you know, you can have a tour of the museum, and it's going to be a lot of fun. You can have one of our guides do it. It's going to be a lot of fun. Tom Durkin brings something completely different to the table. I mean, he's going to tell stories about the different aspects of the museum and the Hall of Fame from his view. And you know, you followed him as a race caller, and this was a guy who could turn anything into an amazing story. The museum already has so many amazing stories, but with his flair, it's going to be a guided tour, 11 o'clock on most race days. He won't be doing them on the dark Tuesdays, but just about every race day, from 11 to noon, you know, he's going to be doing tours of the museum, and great opportunity to talk to Tom and learn about his career as well as the museum. So.
And these are limited to 12 people, so first come, first served basis. If you're thinking about it, get over there and put your name in.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people booking them already, but there are still some availabilities, so you can just call the museum at 584-0400 and just ask to be signed up for what dates are available.
Very good. We'll give out that number again towards the end as well. You and I were talking beforehand, and I said I'd gone to the website and printed up some of the events coming up. This one sounds like a lot of fun. There's a racing trivia night coming up at the museum.
Well, that's it. I mean, you know, you see these in town, a lot of bars and everything, and we thought, you know, let's try to turn this into something, you know, that would be great for racing fans who know the history. And, you know, one of the greatest aspects of our sport is the history of it and the legends. And so Friday the 29th, you know, from 5 o'clock to 8, we're going to have a trivia night where you can get teams together, 2 to 5 people. There's going to be 3 categories of questions. We're going to have the Triple Crown races, the Hall of Fame, and Saratoga. So you're going to get to learn. Some of them are kind of easier questions for the, you know, novices. Some of them a little more intermediate, and then you have the advanced questions for the, you know, the hardcore followers. So it'll be a lot of fun. You know, Dave Harmon over at the Westside Stadium is donating some food for the event and everything. So we got to thank him. And you know, for $10 per person, you get a couple of drinks, you get some food, and then after that, we will have a bar for additional, you know, beverages if you'd like. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and we'll have some prizes and giveaways, and just should be a fun new event that we're trying out this year. Yeah.
I think it sounds like a lot of fun. Again, July 29th from 5:30 to 8, racing trivia at the museum. Also want to alert people coming up on the 26th, book signing, The Legend of Zippy Chippy, the lovable loser.
Well, I mean, what can you say about Zippy Chippy? 100 starts, never won any of them. He was actually banned at a couple of tracks, if I remember.
I was at the Northampton track where lost number 100.
You know, but you know, he's a story that a lot of people have fallen in love with. I mean, he's a horse that you know, he kept trying, and he was always, you know, he was credible in a lot of those races.
Oh, yeah.
And he's right out at the Old Friends farm out in Cabin Creek, and he's a big drawing card for them, and you know, a very popular horse. And it's a neat story about, you know, life lessons from the lovable loser, about not giving up and persevering. So we're excited about that book signing. We've got a lot of other events and everything, and that's one that should be a lot of fun.
July 26th from 1 to 3, The Legend of Zippy Chippy, a book signing. And yeah, I was out at the Northampton Fair, lost number 100, and I want to say he went off favorite. On the webpage on Equidaily, I have a page that recounts my visit there, and I have a shot of that. And if he didn't go favorite, it was like the second.
I think people wanted the ticket as a commemorative. You know,
I'm sure it was just the ticket.
Yeah, just to have that $2 on him. You know,
absolutely. race number 100. At that point, we didn't know it was going to be the final
He did beat a
race,
human being at one point. I don't know if you've
yeah,
heard that
right,
story.
Yeah, you're right. And so he's got that going for him anyway, but on the racetrack. But again, a fun story. Also, I want to mention this because it's a continuing kind of thing. You've had the exhibit now for a while, but it'll go towards the end of the year. I'm an Amsterdam guy. You have the Sanford Legacy exhibit there. And for folks locally, of course, the Sanford Farm, the Sanford Steaks, they were prominent owners based right over in Amsterdam. Some of the Sanford farms still there up near that Walmart complex. But talk a little bit about that exhibit.
It's a wonderful exhibit. The Sanfords of Amsterdam has such an amazing legacy, especially here at Saratoga. They had the 100th running of the Sanford just a couple years ago, and there's family members that still come and cast and do the presentation of the trophy. But they used to walk their horses from the farm out in Amsterdam to Saratoga every year. This is traditionally when they started racing. You know, they had the trials out at the farm and everything, but Stephen Sanford and Laddie and everybody, you know, they won the Kentucky Derby with George Smith. They won the Grand National over in England, but they were huge supporters of Saratoga racing, and they were monumental out in Amsterdam with the farm they had. They had a stallion that was there named Clifford for a while, who got inducted to the Hall of Fame just a couple years ago. So the legacy's still going on. I mean, the family won the Alabama Stakes and so many of the great races here, and this exhibit, you know, traces the history of it as well as what the Friends of Sanford Stud Farm is doing now to try to preserve what is left out there and the monuments and the stud barn, and it's just it's a great part of our history, and the exhibit will be up through the end of the year, and it's definitely a great attraction at the museum.
And that's a great opportunity to push this Friends of Sanford Stud a little bit. You can go to their website. They typically during the meet have an event in the barn that's still there. They have a dinner out there, and so look that up. It's worth going. A couple years ago I went just to get inside the barn and see how they did it in those days. It's a beautiful. You walk in and it's like,
you know, Holly Hughes trained for them, and I think their event is called Horsetails and Cocktails that they have, and you know, Scott Friars and everybody from the Sanford Stud Farm, you know, Lou Hildebrand, they do a tremendous job, and you know, we're happy to have this exhibit, and it's been great.
Yeah, it's worth checking out. It's going to be there towards the end of the year, and again, just on the local history kind of a thing, worth looking. Well, finally, Brian, before we let you go, I have to ask. I think everybody at the museum, you know, you have no say over it. It's I'm one of the voters, and until we submit our votes, you don't know. But I think everybody at the museum had to be thrilled with this year's class, the 2016 Hall of Fame. The inductions are going to be Friday, August 12th. Rachel Alexandra, Zenyatta, Ramon, and Steve Asmussen. You got like a Grand Slam class.
A tremendous contemporary group right there, and on top of that, we have Bull Hancock. You know, getting in from Claiborne Farm, William Woodward Sr., and a couple of great historical inductees, Tom Ochiltree and Wayne Wright. But, you know, Ramon, almost 5,000 wins, 3 Eclipse Awards. Steve Asmussen, over 7,000 wins, 2 Eclipse Awards. And we do, you know, I could talk forever about the 2 fillies getting in. I mean, they're just amazing. So, yeah, it's an exceptional class, and, you know, we're really excited about honoring them this summer.
And because of the expected popularity, and the fact of the matter is, it's been standing room only in the Fasig-Tipton Pavilion the last few years anyway. But with this class, you were expecting, I'm sure, much, much more. And so that you've kind of changed the admission policies. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we are filled up for the event. We looked into the possibility of having it at some other venues and stuff, but it didn't work out. But as you know, Fasig-Tipton is, you know, about 600 seats, and there's strict fire codes and everything. So we will stream the event live on our website. The Horse Racing Radio Network is going to broadcast it, and we are working with Naira about trying to do a viewing over here at the track. Nice. So we're working on some things to try to help accommodate the fans who want to come and see it. But if you're in the area, the back of the house at Fasig will have all the TVs on and everything, the sales area and everything. So it's always limited. But this year we wanted to put a note out there that, you know, we wanted to let people know in advance that if you don't have a ticket, you know, you're not going to be able to get in just because it's such a small venue.
So if people show up, though, they can watch out in the backyard over there?
Yeah, the backyard, the facility, they can go outside. If the weather's good, I mean, it's not going to be great if it rains, but it's an option if you want to, you know, be close to the area and everything. And but it's on our website at racingmuseum.org. It'll be a live stream, and pick it up with high definition, you know, sound and everything.
Which is
so,
great also for folks who are around the country who wouldn't have a chance to come
anyway. You can't make it here, so you know, we're trying to accommodate as many people as we can with it.
But I think it is, again, a phenomenal class this year. Certainly the Rachel Alexandra, Zenyatta groupies and whatnot will be all over it, but the human side very potent as well with Ramon and Steve Asmussen. So looking forward to that coming up again on August 12th. But plenty of good events. You guys have a great website that lists all the events and press releases as well. So folks should go there to keep up with information.
Yep, racingmuseum.org, and you know, just stop in the museum. I mean, we're right across from the track. I mean, come by for an hour before you come over and watch the races. Just a lot of fun events. I mean, there's just about something going on daily. We're working on some other events. We're trying to get some jockey autograph signings this summer. We're going to have Ron Turcotte in the week before the Hall of Fame for a signing. We haven't announced that yet on the site, but Ron will be here.
You still doing the mornings over at the Oklahoma?
Yeah, we have the walking tours at Oklahoma. For $10, you get our regular museum admission is $7, but for $10 you can get a 90-minute tour of the Oklahoma track plus museum admission. So.
Nice.
That's a tremendous bargain. You get to see the horses work out in the morning, and a lot of times the trainers will come over and say hello to you. Gary Contessa's been great about that. Nick Zito, some of the guys will stop and say a few things to the tour people. So it's really an opportunity to get an insider's view of the back workings in the morning. So
yeah, nice. It's really one of the assets of the area. Again, the National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame, right across the street from the racetrack on Union Avenue. Highly recommended. Again, phone number 518-584-0400 if you want more information. The website. Also, and one more reminder, tonight at 7 o'clock there, the pre-Saratoga panel. You'll get a lot of great information. If you have some questions about behind-the-scenes kind of things, this is the place to get them answered.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Seth.
I appreciate it. Brian Bouillet, the Communications Director, National Museum of Racing and Hall of Fame. We'll take our break. When we come back, Jeremy Plonk will join us. He's standing out there, as I say, in the green room. He's going to come sit in live with us on this Wednesday morning. Stay tuned. Racing Across America will continue.
Now get all the racing information you need right on your mobile device with Capital OTB's new mobile app. Wager anytime, anywhere, right from your smartphone or tablet. Watch, wager, and win right at your fingertips. The new Capital OTB mobile app. In a recent study of some of the top online wagering sites, Capital OTB won big in total player rewards, far surpassing some of the best-known wagering sites in America. While other rewards programs simply offer you points redeemable for gift cards, Capital OTB's rebates are paid to you in actual cash. Plus, Capital OTB gives you full and immediate access to your money. So if all you're getting now are points and gift cards, join Capital OTB Player Rewards today and get cash back. Visit CapitalOTBBet.com and sign up today.
Can you hear it? It's the sound of excitement. Something we infuse into every grape that goes into our exceptional full-bodied wine. That was closer than I thought it would be. Now, if you'll excuse me. 14 hands, where great times are made.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
50 yards, heavily plays, here's the line, one dreamer wins and scores a huge front-running upset under Gary Stevens. Heavily Prize was second. You have just witnessed a felony.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Welcome back to Racing Across America. As promised before the break, typically by phone on Wednesdays, but he's in town for pre-Saratoga vacation. Jeremy Plonk, happy to have him live at the table. Good morning.
Good morning. It's good to be here. A little casual, but that's what Saratoga's
yeah,
about.
Absolutely.
I know a lot of people come out and get all jazzed up with the bow ties and the and the fedoras and everything for the track. I mean, if you see me at the track, I'm kind of dressed like this, and you always need a pocket with a shirt with a pocket in the front because you got to keep your tickets in there. You got to get in and out. So that's my racetrack fashion etiquette.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I'm right with you. As soon as the show ends, the tie and the coat go off, I've got the pocket. I'm ready to go as well, no question about it. Not only that, you got to have the pen in the pocket.
Yeah. No, you got to have all the equipment when you come to the racetrack and be prepared. It's a long day, too. Though people always say, well, what do you wear to the track? I say comfortable shoes. Because you're going to be out there for a long time, and you're going to cover a lot of mileage.
Yeah, no question about it. And again, you've been in town now for a few days with the family, enjoying things. What have you been doing in and around Saratoga?
Well, we've done a little house hunting. We've been, looking at maybe relocating up here someday. It's such a beautiful area.
Yeah.
For folks watching here, you obviously know what a treasure you have, but never take it for granted. This is an unbelievable town. we come up here to relax. You know, it's a great getaway. It was a spa, a century ago, and it still is. It's a wonderful place to come and relax, get your mind clear, and why not before the race meet gets started? Because you know we want to be focused. It's the toughest handicapping in the country. A lot of times will be a full card at Saratoga.
I got to ask, as a person from out of town, and you alluded to the spa, do you drink the water? I mean, the spa water.
Some of them, but some of you get like some of the sulfuric ones and the really bitter ones. You know, you kind of like reach your nose down there, and all of a sudden, I don't know, but some of them are pretty good.
The Big Red Spring out in the back of the track is a little dicey. I've taken that, and it's funny to see people who walk up to it and think, oh, it's a water fountain.
Oh yeah, spring water. Yeah, right. No, we all got caught on that the first time. If you do it more than once, though, it's your own fault.
All right, let's talk a little racing, and then after that, get some of your thoughts overall on a meet like Saratoga, how you approach it and whatnot. But again, typically on Wednesdays, we'll come in and we'll talk a little 3-year-old action. We're going to do that with a couple of 3-year-old races from this past weekend, and also a 2-year-old race that I thought was a little bit interesting. But first up, we have the Indiana Derby out at Indiana Grand this past Saturday. Notable there, it's going to be Cupid getting the job done for Bob Baffert, and that was the question mark. He had a lot of hype early in the year. Was he going to be able to come back and get it done in the Indiana Derby? And my question now is, do they come out of this Indiana Derby and step back into the big game and head to something like Haskell or Travers? Haskell may come up too quickly, but Travers, or do they continue on this kind of road and maybe these second-level kind of derbies and whatnot with this horse? To me, it just looks like he's probably at about this level. But when you have a horse and he gets it done like this, in a race like this, I think the game plan might be to go to bigger and better. But we'll see as they go forward. But it was a nice gutsy win here.
It was, and he needed to get back. You know, he had that just no-show on Belmont Stakes Day on the undercard in the Easy Goer where he wasn't comfortable in the race. He fought Florent Giroux throughout. This race was impressive because he was from a wide post position. He had to hustle to get into the first turn, and he still maintained it. A good win in the Indiana Derby. I think the horses behind him, the player, and also Star Hill, the third-place finisher, I thought ran a really good race in there. So he beat a pretty representative field, I think, for an Indiana Derby. Now, does that translate up to the next level like you talk about? Is he now a Travers consideration? I think a lot of it has to do with what Baffert's horse may do in the Haskell. You know, he's got, American Freedom there for the big race going to the East Coast. A lot of times with these trainers who have multiple horses, it's not necessarily what this horse does, it's what some of the others in the stable do that dictate how the schedule plays out. So Baffert will have horses probably in the Haskell and the Travers, and Cupid could be part of that equation if American Freedom isn't.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where he goes next because, as I say, I think you're tempted, we're back on track, let's step back up into the big leagues. I'm not totally convinced yet, but we'll see where they do go next with that one. We also had a nice 3-year-old turf stake this weekend, Delaware Handicap Day. Now, before I get to that, I'll ask if you watched the Delaware Handicap and saw the start there. I know you were on vacation.
Yeah, no, I watch on replays, though. That's a beautiful thing.
If it's me, I take the horse down. But I just think stewards these days, there's some leeway, a certain amount of feet away from the starting gate. But, boy, that was brutal.
It was, and because it's 1.25 miles, I think that factors into the decision of, well, there was bumping at the start, but they all had 1.25 miles essentially minus a few feet to try to make up the difference. I take the horse down. I mean, I don't know. I think a foul is a foul, and so it's all in the interpretation of the different person. And I will say this: I predict stewards' decisions right about 0.1% of the time. I'm like 99.9% wrong on what stewards are going to do. Also, too, the horse was a big favorite, and when a horse is a big favorite and they're on top, and they win, they don't want to take a horse down who's a big favorite in a big stakes. It's the biggest race of the year at Delaware Park. The big horse wins. Everybody's happy, right? Everybody's happy with that result. I mean, the public's happy. And then you go take the horse down for something that happened, 1 mile and 3/16 from the finish line. I see why they leave it up, but that was a foul.
Yeah, that was my thing. This happens in the last 1/8 of a mile. It's 100%.
Right.
I mean, that's not even a question. And so it's just, it was, to me, again, I would have taken the horse down as well. But let's get on to the other stake on that Delaware card, the Kent 3-year-olds on the turf. It is going to be American Patriot winning, and winning at a track record time, which I think gives you a feeling that in this subdivision of 3-year-olds on the turf, he's going to be a player.
And a track record where they went slow early. So this race really quick. And we talk about fractions and how races unraveled during the course of our meetings each week on here. 24-3 for the first quarter, 48-1 for the half, 112 to the 6 furlongs. How do you get a course record out of a race that goes 112 for the first 6 furlongs? But they absolutely exploded late, and 11:51 for the last eighth of a mile. They were really coming home. Inspector Lindley, who ran third, ran like a locomotive down the lane, but there's no way you're going to make up that kind of advantage when horses finish the way the ones did in front and have to make up that kind of ground. The pace just didn't work out well. Inspector Lindley has a big stakes race in his future. This just didn't work out for Shug McGahee's horse in this particular race in the Kent. First jump for American Patriot. Heel Pay ran a nice race setting all the pace in there, but American Patriot, the Todd Pletcher barn just gets a little richer each time. And that American Turf from Churchill Downs on Derby Day is a race he was up the track in, and it's kind of produced mixed results. The horses towards the top of that race have had a little bit of trouble coming back. Some of the horses who finished off the board haven't run that well, but this one came out of the American Turf and ran big, and a move forward for sure for American Patriot.
All right, and let's move on. I wanted to touch on a 2-year-old race from this past weekend because I think this is a horse that definitely stands a chance of being heard from up here at Saratoga as well. It's a Gary Contessa trainee, but we'll watch the Rockville Center from this weekend at Belmont, and Runaway Loot, 2 for 2 now in the career, and pretty solid as far as a nice win here. Again, a 2-year-old that I think has a future. We'll see what happens up here at Saratoga, but you have to think off of these two. By the time September, October rolls around, we don't know. But just looking ahead to Saratoga, I think this horse is going to be interesting.
Well, anytime a 2-year-old misses the start in a stakes race, you figure, okay, they're done. You know, let's see if he finishes up okay, and we'll come back and get him the next day. He came in and got him, the same day. By the top of the stretch, he was in gear and drew off and won by almost 9 lengths. Dominant performance. The pedigree's a little questionable. Midnight Lou's done okay with some longer horses as the sire. Of course, he had more of a breathing issue, as Baffert said many times, of why he was a great sprinter. But pedigree-wise, he had the pedigree to go longer. So Midnight Lou could produce somebody of some distance. On the dam side, it's been mostly sprinters, but it's is the dam sire, who was obviously a great router in a 1.25 mile handicap division kind of horse. So I'm not sure on this pedigree. It's not a disqualifying pedigree by any stretch, but I'm just not certain that he goes long. But you sure have to like what you saw out of this performance. And who knows, maybe he's got a little funny side in him. A New York-bred 2-year-old who can make a little noise up here at the spa and see where we go from here. This was a nice win, though. Yeah, it was very nice. And, we had Jack Nolan on the other day, speaking of funny side. And we were talking with Brian Bouyer earlier about Jack Wolf being at the panel and folks wanting to get involved in partnerships. And it was interesting to have Jack kind of reminiscing about funny side. It was the 8th horse that partnership bought. And they wind up Kentucky Derby and Preakness. Oh, they can buy 8,000 more, and they're not going to find another funny side. That's the way the game works. These folks who come in and have immediate luck can be spoiled real quick. It's tough to find a once-in-a-lifetime horse. That's why they're once. Yeah, it was. That really was. I mean, he just got good at the right time. Got the couple of races there, and then it was nice as the career went on. It was nice as well. But you can strike lightning though for a modest amount of money, but you're striking lightning. That's right, and be grateful for what you get in this game, either as a horse player or as a horse owner. I mean, relish the wins because the losses are going to outnumber the wins, and dealing with those losses is really how we all march on in this game. You got to be good. You got to be good at handling bad news. Yeah. And speaking of those kind of bromides, I pulled up your online column from this past week. 5 tips for savoring the spa. We'll hit on some of those and maybe talk a little broader on Saratoga. But it's kind of interesting. You had 5 points in here. I found them all worthwhile. You start things off with pace yourself. And with this now being essentially a 7-week meet, I think that's great advice. It is. You think, it's a short meet, it's a boutique, but you don't want the races add up. You're talking 7 weeks, 6 days a week, 40-some days of racing, 9, 10, 11, some 13 race cards on the weekend. Next thing you know, you're up to 400, 500 races that are going to be run here at Saratoga in all different conditions, all different strengths and weaknesses that you have. You may not be a great turf player. You don't have to play the turf races. There's plenty of time to focus in on the main track races and play to your strengths. I know that the temptation is, it's Saratoga, I want to do everything that I can, but again, it's a lot longer stretch than you think it is, and keep that in mind as you go along. Your biggest play of the meet probably won't come in the first day of the meet, or at least it shouldn't. Yeah. Otherwise, your bankroll's going the wrong direction, probably.
You also talk about, and this is interesting, this is a little more nuts and bolts, but map out your parking. And as I say, it's a little bit under the radar, but I think it's great advice.
This place is tough to park at Saratoga. I was doing Steve Vick's radio show yesterday, and I had like 15 minutes till I went on the air, so I thought I'll drive down and then I'll do it from sitting on a bench in the park or whatever. By the time we got on the phone, I was still driving around looking for a parking spot, so I did a kind of one of these things, you know, as you know, you're trying to find a place to park. It's tough to park in Saratoga Springs any time of the year, but during the race meet, it really gets crazy, and as things ramp up towards that, utilize that public transportation, utilize the hotel shuttles. A lot of the places and hotels you stay around town will take you anywhere pretty much on the shuttle. Use it, you know, and it's a safer way to go around and enjoy the evening nightlife too. And you know, it's a great town. Everything's small and quaint. It's still a hamlet, but the population explodes. Parking for the racetrack is difficult. You know that finding a good place to park for the races. You got to give yourself extra time. Know that you're probably going to spend a little money to park, and also take advantage of any kind of free shuttle service that you can, because a lot of places will offer it to and from the track, maybe from hotels and such. Take advantage of every opportunity you can. It's one of the. Don't let that be your frustration for not having a good summer.
Yeah, that's and as I say, that's great advice. And give yourself a little extra time, because you can always find track parking, but it may not be 1 block away. You may be a little further away, and so you have to walk a little bit. So just be prepared for that, and if you're prepared, then it doesn't ruin your day.
Goes back to those comfortable shoes, you know? I mean, it all comes back to the feet at the racetrack, whether it's the horses or the horse players, you know? You got to be cozy.
No question about it. Number 3, you said weather the storms, and doesn't just go for the mentality of the game and running into a little betting slump perhaps, but there are some weather issues up here at Saratoga. We're in a funny geographical location where last year we lucked out, but you can't put 2 years like that together. We will get some days where the rain will come down, and you got to mentally prepare for those as well.
Yeah, we've been here for the last week, and I think probably half the days in the last week we've had that mid-afternoon, late afternoon storm. And from all the years of coming here to cover races with NBC or CNBC or ESPN and some of the places I've worked with, almost invariably we're on in the 5 to 6 o'clock hour for the big feature races for the day. And almost invariably, I'd say 75% of the shows we ever did, there was a deluge sometime right before we went on the air or while we were on the air that it just kind of sticks in your mind. Late in the day here at Saratoga, there's a shot at some thunderstorms. Keep that in mind as you play multi-race wagers, you know, because you get involved in the pick 4, the pick 5, the pick 6, something late in the day at Saratoga, and you may be looking at some off-course conditions, some change in track conditions. You may want to throw a horse who's pretty good in the slop. If there's a threat of rain a little bit later today, throw him in your ticket. Maybe you're 3 deep in the pick 4, but there is a mud freak in the race. It might be worth just taking that 1 extra shot. You're doing it 4 races ahead of time, but throw that 1 extra horse in who may be a mud freak in one of the races. If the races all come off the turf and you've got chaos, then you're just kind of at the mercy of the rules of the racing and gaming commissions that, you know, what you're going to do with your tickets. But if you're planning ahead, look at those off-course conditions and try to add some horses here and there on particular days when the forecast says it could happen.
And we kind of alluded to this already as well when we had Brian in here earlier talking about the Oklahoma tours that the Racing Museum gives, which is say make the most of your mornings. And up here at Saratoga, probably more than any other track in the country, I would think. You know, Santa Anita does some things in the morning, and some other tracks do it, but more on maybe a weekend basis. Pretty much the entire meet up here, there's something going on in the morning.
And enjoy the mornings. I mean, this is phenomenal. What you've got behind you is the greatest backdrop in racing. It's invigorating. If you're a little sour on the way things are going, maybe you've had a couple bad days betting, that kind of deal like that, a couple tough beats, maybe your horse didn't get disqualified or did get disqualified that we were talking about with the Delaware handicap. You need to kind of get over that. The easiest way to get over it is come out in a serene time like the morning. Watch what's going on, plus the people you bump into. The vibe in the morning is completely different, and it's pure. And you know, I know it's a little cheesy, it's a little, you know, trite, but it's good for the mind. It really is good for the mind to come out and see the horses and do it when it's not as chaotic and you're not worried about odds and minutes to post and things like that. It changes your pace and it changes your perspective a little.
And I know that's a big part of, you know, we talked earlier about the racing partnerships. That's a big part of the partnerships. I know folks like West Point, Saratoga, a lot of them, the big part of being in those partnerships is coming out here in the morning and going on the backstretch and seeing their horses.
Yeah, Wayne Lucas told me, I don't know if it was this year or the year before when I was talking to him around Triple Crown time, and he said, you know, the job of a trainer almost anymore is to sell the experience to owners. And he's like a recruiter, you know. He's like the head football coach at, you know, at Rutgers or something. You take people around campus and you show them all the best parts, and you bring them in when there's a big basketball game in town. You know, the recruits for football want to come in and see a big basketball game. You show off your best feet, and it's about selling the overall experience. And Lucas was saying, you know, that's the way they recruit, you know, owners in this game. And like you're talking about, partners and partnerships. Get them out during this time, sell them this kind of experience and the beauty of it and the peacefulness of it. It doesn't get much better than this. This is horse heaven right here. I mean, I love Saratoga. I love Keeneland, Santa Anita. I mean, you could, if you just had those 3 tracks, I'd be a happy dude.
And I must say, I have to make it out to Del Mar. I look at that shot where they look across the street at the beach. That looks pretty inviting.
Yeah, I don't like
beach.
I don't like sand in my shoes and all that stuff. Del Mar's nice if that's your thing, but I'm not a beach guy.
I love it up here, but I like the beach as well. So I think that'd be pretty good. Sit on the beach for a while, and then go to the.
It's not a bad assignment. Yeah. I've been out to Del Mar once. It was a very good time. But I tell you what, and people on the East Coast will love this because it's always like Saratoga or Del Mar. It ain't even close, folks. I like it here better.
And finally on your list, number 5, and I found this one interesting because of what you wrote. You said Meet the Folks was number 5. But you talked about you've been in town now for a few days, and you talked about going to the farmer's market, and you run into?
Mark Cassie. He's standing there with my wife and my daughter and our dog, and I said, that's the trainer of the most famous horse in the world right now. And they looked at me like, big deal, you know, let me just drink my smoothie and enjoy myself. But so Mark kind of came over. We had our pet with us, and him and his wife and his son, they came over, and they started just talking to our dog. He doesn't know me. We have a casual relationship from maybe interviewing him over the years or something like that, but he didn't recognize who I was, but I recognized who he was. And he was sitting there playing with our dog, and the next thing you know, I said, you know, well, what's going on with Tepid? And he kind of smiled and, you know, that kind of deal like that. And he said, oh, we're going in the 4-star Dave. So we got a little bit of news. And you'd be surprised how open people are in racing. I remember sitting at Hattie's 10 years ago, and Leroy Jolly and Nick Zito were sitting there having dinner next, and they love when you come up and talk to them. And it's a very open game. And I'll say, for most of these guys in the towns that they work in, the jockeys and the trainers, they don't get recognized so much in most of the towns around the country. When you're in Saratoga, there is an element of celebrity to it that the horse people are known and they're revered. And so I think they kind of dig that. You know, this is their 6 weeks a year where they might like to get patted on the back in a restaurant saying, I love the way your filly ran in the 3rd yesterday. So if you see these people in the racing industry, approach them, and it will personalize your experience, and it'll make a more memorable trip here for you, getting to know the people who are involved in the game. Same goes for the media members and things like that. By no means do we ever consider ourselves celebrities, but there's nothing more fun than when somebody comes up and pats you on the back and says, I attend night school on Tuesday nights, or, you know, I read your Countdown to the Crown column or something like that. Those kind of things are good for the ego, and they make you feel good. And to know that there are people out there who are following what's going on and love this game as much as you do, it's a two-way street then when you get to communicate with people.
And that's good advice as well if you tie that in. If you're coming for the day, we said earlier, go over to the Racing Museum in the morning, go to the track in the afternoon, then go to dinner in town before you leave town if you're from out of town, because there's a chance you'll see with jockeys or trainers. Wishing well, there's somebody from the horse racing game out there on any given night, but the various restaurants in town, 15 Church, can name a slew of them, that the chances are just walking up and down Broadway. The chance, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was in Boston Market about a week before the meet started. I'm in line to get my turkey dinner, and who's getting a turkey dinner like 3 people ahead of me? D-Wayne Lucas.
You never know who you're going to run into around this town. That's what's really cool about it. And when you talk about finding a place to eat, my goodness, there is no shortage of good restaurants. Do your diet before you get here.
Have you? You want to give a thumbs up to some place you've been this week?
Oh, geez, we've been so many good places. I mean, we've got some old standbys that we really like. This sounds crazy that you come to Saratoga for Vietnamese, but the Char Khun Chinese and Vietnamese restaurant, Thai food on Broadway. Among the Broadway restaurants, I think it's a hidden gem. And
down on South Broadway?
Yeah, right. Near the Circus Cafe and down in that area. But if you like Asian food, I think it's really good, especially for, in the Northeast. And we've been there twice already this week.
There you go. All right. Well, there's a recommendation. And so there was your column with the 5 points, but let's go a little broader and just, and we kind of alluded to it with the pace yourself. But bankroll, you come into Saratoga and you're a guy who's just visiting. That's a little bit of a different scenario for the folks of us who are up here for the whole meet, particularly if, I'll say it, as media guy, dirty job, but somebody's got to be here every day. But I've said it before. I'm bad as far as willpower. I have to play every race. But I've learned you don't have to play them at the same amount of money.
Yeah.
So you have a little bit of action just to keep you alive in those races you aren't in love with, because the bankroll will drain very fast otherwise. But again, it's a little bit different if you're only going to come to the track once or twice during the meet, or if you're a weekend person, you're going to make those 4 or 5 or 6 weekends, or you've got the season pass and you're going to be here 20 days. It's all a little bit of a different scenario, but there are still basic theories to keep in mind. That you have to have a bankroll and you have to have a plan in mind.
You do, and even if you want to nickel dime all the races and you don't want to walk away from some action, you know, a $100 player can play 2 $40 bets and then play $20 on the other 8 races on the card combined, where those are $2 or $3 or $4 bets. If you hit one of those $2 bets for a $17 return or something, now you got a little more to roll back into your fun plays or to double down. But I even think if you're a small-time bettor, you need to make 1 or 2 bets a day of a significant amount of that budget on those particular plays. What's your best opinion today? Because you got to get paid when you're right in this game, and I think that's the biggest thing. Paul Matisse, local, who's going to be out here firing every day. When he was one of our night school guests a couple last spring, you know, he mentioned the same thing. It's always been my slogan: get paid when you're right. You've got to make money on the races where your opinion has a good one, and so keep some of your bankroll, a large percentage of your bankroll, focused on those wagers that you think have the best chance of returning. The action plays are still there, but make sure that the action plays add up to a small percentage of your budget. Maybe 20% of your overall budget should just be action plays, and there's no shame in that. I know that the serious players want to talk about how you can't throw money away, you can't play every race. That's true, but if you're a casual to serious player, I think that there is a place for a small percentage of your money to go into those action bets, because I think that's sustaining for a lot of people. You know, that sustains your interest and your excitement level, and that's part of it, you know, because you've got to ride out the streaks.
Yeah, and I agree, and as I say, that's the way I do it. And hopefully if you're handicapping decently, you're hitting at least a few of those.
Yeah, right.
So it's not, those little bets aren't totally draining the budget. Hopefully you're putting some money back in. But again, you come up with a budget, you stick to that budget, and I'll mention also, you kind of alluded to it, you want to be paid when you're right. Maintain some budget for the end of the day, certainly, because if your right opinion is race 8 or 9 on a 9-race day, you don't want to have drained the budget by the time you get to the one you really like.
Well, and that's the benefit of handicapping ahead of time. And the races are drawn 3 days before, 72 hours out. You don't have to handicap 3 days ahead like a public handicapper would, but at least by the morning of the race day that you're going, if you're going out to the track Saturday, first post is 1 o'clock-ish, have your handicapping done in the morning. Get up with breakfast, have, with your orange juice, your form, and your past performances printed out, and work on them over breakfast, so that when you get out to the track, you understand where those plays are coming from, because you could love a horse in the 8th race, but if you've blown your budget beforehand, you won't be able to strike properly. So know where they are, at least in the program. Know what their morning line odds are, and also have a sense too, is this horse going to be the morning line I think they are? Sometimes you'll look at a morning line and you'll just say, I don't know. Travis Stone will be making the morning line for the first time here at Saratoga. So you've got a first-time line maker. I'm not saying he's going to do a bad job, and Travis is a very talented guy, and I think he'll do a good job. But if you're a seasoned horse player and you've got a good feel of what odds should be, and you see something a little out of whack, trust yourself in this instance, until we know Travis is going to be dead square on, where when he makes a horse 3-1, that horse really should have been 3-1, then we'll know that. But for now, at the start, you may actually have a little bit of an advantage with a new line maker here at Saratoga, where you may have a better sense of the odds than what's being published in the program. That could be completely wrong, but until we see that, trust yourself.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a lot of fun starting on Friday, and again, hopefully everybody keeps in mind you got to pace yourself day by day, even if you're coming once or twice on a daily basis. Watch that bankroll, and again, paid if you make the right opinion, and that's the way to make some money at the racetrack, and that's what we're all shooting for.
Oh, it is. Look, we want to come out here and have fun. We want to get a good parking spot. We want to have comfortable shoes. We want a good meal afterwards. But hell, we all want to win.
That's a ticket.
I've said this before, somebody, well, what's the best way to bring in a new fan? Win the first time you come to the track. That's the best way to make a new fan. Of any of the people I've introduced to the game, the ones who won right off the bat we're a lot easier to bring back the second time than anybody else. And so helping people pick winners, I think, is the most important thing a racetrack or an outlet can do that's in the wagering game. And the stuff you guys do on Capital OTB, all these different shows that help people try to get better at what they do is the absolute right business model. What they're doing here now is you're going to be able to book one-on-one lessons on how to learn the program with some of the staff at NYRA. These kind of objectives are outstanding. We've been doing it in night school for 6 years now online on Tuesday nights. And so anybody who wants to help the business model of racing through education, I think, is completely on the right path. And I love seeing these kind of things, and that's why I love doing your stuff each week, because you guys are putting the information in the hands of people that they can now become better customers.
And we love having you on board. And before we let you go, you've alluded to it just a moment ago, night school. We haven't talked about it yet, but again, summertime. Tuesday nights, perfect because it's an off day at Saratoga, but you'll get to wager a little bit because you're doing the live chats tied in with subjects on Tuesday nights during the summer.
Yeah, Mountaineer Live Racing 6 through 9 hits our time slot from 8:30 to 10 p.m. Eastern each week in night school. So we play those 4 races. You can download free brisk past performances. And each week we take a different topic. Last night it was visual handicapping. I took the night off. I only my 3rd night school off in 220 episodes in 6 years, but I tried to peel myself away a little bit on vacation. Kate and Bettor and Candace Hare were on last night, so it was ladies' night, and Kate gave her opinions on what to look for with the live racing and also in general in visual handicapping. So it was a good help there. In 2 weeks, we're going to have one of our best ones of the year where you actually get the marked past performances of our analysts. So you'll get to see all the notations and everything we make. You'll be able to download our official brisk past performances with all of our markings on. That's coming up in 2 weeks. Next week, I'm drawing a blank right now on what our topic is, but go to the night school page at horseplayernow.com and you'll get a look at next week's topic for the upcoming night school session. Every Tuesday night, 40 weeks consecutively from March all the way through December. So any time of the year, it's Saratoga, you're thinking about racing now, but even if your track or the place you like to play doesn't get rolling until the fall, we'll be there every Tuesday night. And you mentioned it was because there's no live racing going on and no conflicts. That's why we've been on Tuesday nights. We try to stay away from the main track schedules and do it on a night that can prepare you for those tracks on a next day and another day.
And again, horseplayernow.com is the spot to find all of that information. Jeremy, we appreciated the visit this morning. Hiatus now for the phone guests, so we'll plug back in after Saratoga, but we certainly appreciated the live visit this morning.
I'll be watching online. I love the live stream of this show, so even though I'm not in the local market, I always recommend to people on Twitter and social media, tune into the Capital OTB live stream online because it's a great service, and I'll be watching because I want a little help on the Saratoga meet.
Appreciate it. Jeremy Plank, horseplayernow.com, Countdown to the Crown, Night School, and much, much more. We'll take our next break. When we come back, Peter Lorre from Indiana Grand, some ideas for today, some recaps of the stakes from the weekend. Stay tuned.
This is Racing Across America with Seth Merrow.
Face it, most horse racing websites are just too much clutter, too much to navigate through. Next time, log on to capitalotb.com. Our newly designed website is easier than ever to use, with all the information the professional horse player needs. capitalotb.com.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops, my bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Hi, I'm Acacia Courtney. I'm a senior at Fordham University, and believe it or not, I'm a fan of horse racing. It used to be that we would come to the track to watch beautiful horses run and maybe even place a bet. But today, competition for gaming dollars has taken over all of that. Now, fan numbers are dropping. Why is that? Because new people are not being introduced to our sport. ThoroughFan is a national 501c3 nonprofit thoroughbred fan organization that wants to change all of that. Be a part of making a difference in our sport. For just $25 a year, you can be a part of a network of thoroughbred racing fans. Visit thoroughfan.com/join for more information.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Welcome back to Racing Across America, Wednesday morning live from the Saratoga backstretch. As promised before the break, Peter Lurie from Indiana Grand joins us now. Good morning, Pete.
What's going on there, Mr. Seth?
Not too much. We're enjoying life up in Saratoga. We had you live on the set here, what was it, 2-3 seasons ago? You going to make a Saratoga visit this year?
That'd be a couple years ago in the now defunct HRTV. I now also am working for TVG, but something tells me I'm not going to be in the rotation. But I did get a call from a buddy who said, hey, man, there's a room for you if you want to come up. So I'm going to try to see if I can get my frequent flyer miles and get my butt up there.
All right. Well, when you get in town, give us a shout. We'll have you back over here to have a little conversation. But this morning, have a little conversation on Indiana Grand, and we'll take a look at today before we recap the stakes from the weekend. But first up, you and I were talking a little bit during the break about the weather, which has been just crazy out there at Indiana Grand so far this summer. But what's it look like for this afternoon?
I'll tell you, it's fun, Seth, because I'm a Cali boy, as you know, so I'm not used to this kind of weather. It's been either really raining or very, very hot and humid. It looks like it's going to be extremely hot and humid. For the viewers out there and the listeners, the easiest thing I could say is if you've ever been to Calder Race Course during the summer, that's exactly the way it is right now. So you got to kind of adjust accordingly. It's been playing very favorably towards the speed, but it's looking like a really nice card this afternoon.
All right, and we do have some ideas, and I'm going to be interested to see where you go in race number 2 today. It's a maiden special weight event. These are 2-year-olds. They're going 7.5 on the grass. We have some first-time starters, some lightly raced horses. What did you see in race number 2?
You know, I'm kind of leaning towards taking a swing with an angle I've used before, and it's the 6-horse, Hot Dad, 2-year-old son of Sydney's Candy at 7-2 for trainer Mike Maker. They're putting the hood on this one. Showed absolutely nothing at Churchill Downs back on June 25th. You know, just kind of once around. This horse was bet down to the favorite. When I see this happen and they move up, I immediately think, you know what, they were getting one once over the track. They were highly regarded, so there was a reason why they were getting played. The fact that they're coming on the turf and this horse is bred top and bottom for it tells me that this could be a big opportunity. And Corey Lannery's coming in town for the afternoon. I think they're probably going to be a little more forwardly placed than we saw the last time out. And I'm not sure we're going to get 7-2, but if we do, I'm running to the window.
I kind of like that. I'd never really paid attention to that before, but the beaten favorite moving up angle, it all makes sense. So I'd be interested to see how Hot Dad does this afternoon. Race number 4, optional claimer, 25 tags. Non-winners are one other than. Again on the grass, but this time 5 furlongs.
Yeah, and I'm looking for a horse called Tit for Tat. Right now, for some reason, I'm losing my mind trying to find the horse. Oh, there he is, number 2. 4-year-old daughter of Northern Fleet. You know, this is Paul Holthus, and Holthus to me is one of the best horsemen in the Midwest. I mean, the guy's hitting at 29% at the current meet, 17% on the year. This horse has already won here at Indiana since the meet. He broke the maiden for maiden 25,000 in the 8th start. They moved him up to a 25 N2L over on the turf here June 8th, and he did it quite convincingly. Marcelino Pedrosa is starting to make a name for himself here, and what's more important is this is owned and bred by Thad Ackle. I know a lot of your listeners out there remember Thad. He was the trainer of Great Communicator, who I believe it was 88, I think, was the date. He won, not only did he win the San Juan Capistrano, but he went later on to win the Breeders' Cup Turf over at Churchill Downs. And that was probably one of the biggest Breeders' Cup odds I've ever gotten in a race. And every time Thad comes out with a horse, I just have to look at him. Horse has been on the turf 3 times. He's got a first, second, and third. He's another one who's on a 2-race win streak, and I just like the way he's sitting. He's going to be in a good spot. 5 furlongs, you know, it's one of those things you don't want to be too far back, and you don't want to be on the lead unless you're lone speed. I think he's going to be sitting off what should be some decent pace, probably make a move early at the top of the lane, and hopefully he's good enough to get the job done.
All right, let's move on to race number 6. Always like the midweek stakes races, and this is the Tawi for $100,000. 3-year-old fillies, Division I, going a mile on the grass. What did you see in the 6th?
You know, the Tawi's been split here for these 3-year-old fillies, which is really just a testament to the great job that Kevin Greeley and everyone over at the racing office has been doing. They put together a huge card on Derby night, and this is a very contentious race. But I'm going to go with Brett Calhoun. He's got the 8-horse, More Than Most, 3-year-old daughter of Indigo Mountain. This horse is also on a 2-race win streak. Took the Texas Stallion and another stake over at Lone Star in their last 2 efforts, one on the dirt, one on the turf. Very versatile horse. Has won 2 of 4 on the lawn. Has only been off the board 1 time. They've made about $80,000 with this one. Calhoun, again, one of my favorite trainers down in those parts, and this horse is absolutely bred to love this. I think he's probably going to be sitting very tactical. I mean, he's really not, in my opinion, hasn't demonstrated that he's a must-need lead, must-close type. He's just kind of found himself wherever the track sets him that particular afternoon or evening. So I'm looking to see him in a race that, even though there's been some scratches to the speed, it looks like Mama Joyce and Marquis Miss are both going to be going winging early. And if that's the case, Robbie Alvarado, he rides this turf course just tremendous, and I think he's going to be sitting just off of them, and hopefully gets the job done at 5-2. I have a feeling we're probably going to get that down, though, with the scratches.
Sounds good. All right, let's go back and take a look at some of the action from this past Saturday, the Indiana Derby and the Indiana Oaks. First up, let's take a look at the Derby. Cupid gets it done, number 11 as the 8-5 favorite, number 5 the Player. Fairly lightly raced coming into this, but runs a good second. Star Hill, the number 12, runs third, coming out of a third-place finish behind Tom's Ready. Fish Trap Road, who ran very well in his next start out of that Woody Stevens. So Star Hill took a little action. The second and third-place finishers both at 4-1. The disappointment in here, running 9th in the field at 12, is the 5-2 second choice. Cherry Wine for Dale Romans didn't do a whole lot in here, but again, the favorite gets it done. What were your impressions of Cupid?
Well, I was lucky because they had a charity function for veterans of wars and the homeless, and they were giving them win bets, $1,000 win bets, and they all came to me asking who my horse was, and I absolutely loved Cupid. I thought he either wins this race or he's nowhere to be found. But I got to be honest with you, I was doing the telecast for the CW Wish 8 with Anthony Calhoun here, 2-hour telecast, and as they went into the gate, I looked up into the heavens and said, please don't let me mess this up. It's one thing when somebody asks you for a bet. It's another thing when you know you're taking money away from homeless. So it was one of those situations where, you know, this is one of these type of tracks, especially when it's warm, you don't want to be too far back. I got to be honest with you, I never thought Cherry Wine was going to be a contender. Very, very good horse, but I think he needs a certain kind of a setup, and on a track like this, it's just not conducive to his running style. As far as Cupid was concerned, I was looking at the video, and I know we both, you know, take a look at that video. Sometimes it'll help you to not separate yourself from some cash. He just looked like he's a mile and a 16th horse. I don't think he really wants a mile and an eighth or a mile and a quarter. It just comes down to a simple fact that he can't take his head. You look at what happened on Belmont Day in the Easy Goer. He was fought with the whole way by Florent Giroux. Giroux's a tremendous rider, but I think he was trying to get this horse to do something he didn't want to do, and he threw his head out about 5 times. And I spoke to Jimmy Barnes, the assistant trainer, 2 or 3 days prior, and he told me the same thing. He said, this is a horse that you just got to get him out of the gate. And then once you get him out of the gate, let him settle on his own, and he'll do the rest. He's a big boy, and he proved he could do it. Rafael Bejarano afterwards said he'd been working the horse. When the gate opened and he broke a little flat-footed, he threw a couple expletives to the sky, but decided there was nothing you could do about it. Just don't grab a hold of him, let him do his thing, and he did the rest.
And holds off, as I say, the Player at the end. Let's look at the Indiana Oaks. This one played logically. These were the 2 horses that looked to be the ones to contend, and it will be number 7, Family Tree, getting it done as the 7-5 favorite for Wayne Catalano, coming out of a win in the Iowa Oaks. MZ for Bob Baffert, stepping up in the stakes company, but one that just looked to have, gotten the head screwed on right in the last couple of starts coming into this. So again, these were the 2 that looked logical in here. Number 7, Family Tree, number 6, MZ, and number 3, Minds and Magic runs third in here. But again, top 2 look logical.
Yeah, I thought right from the beginning it was between these two horses, and I got to be honest with you. I looked at the tape on both. They both coincidentally ran on the exact same day, June 30th, last time out, an allowance over at Santa Anita for MZ, and then of course Family Tree ran in the Oaks. The Oaks I thought was a good race. I didn't think it was a tremendous race. I was very impressed with MZ. Very easy under Mike Smith back over at Santa Anita. Really had no test and won it quite convincingly. But I got to be honest, in that situation, when you're stepping up from allowance into a stakes, let alone graded stakes company, I just feel, with few exceptions, you got to have a little bit of experience. Doesn't mean you had to have won, but you at least had to face this group. This was a major step forward for MZ. I know she'd been training well. She ran, I think, as good a race as she was going to run, at least at that point, and I think there's some good things we're going to be seeing coming from the Zayat-owned horse. But that being said, Family Tree just been facing a much tougher group. Wayne Catalano, for my money, one of the better horsemen out there, and he had this one spotted well, got the job done, and it was really actually, I think, a little bit easier than it may even have looked. MZ showed a lot of guts, did not quit, and hung right in there. They were way in front of everybody else. But I really thought, if they would have had to with Family Tree, I think Julian Leparoux could have got the horse just to roll even farther.
Yeah, she looked very good. Pete, before we let you go, only got about 30 seconds left, but just wanted an overview of Saturday. Just reading coming into it, it looks like they had a big day planned. Really nice stakes card. We've only hit on a couple of them. Departing one, the Schaefer. But it also looked like a big day. I read Dave Koechner, the actor, was like kind of the master of ceremonies, so to speak, and folks may remember him. You might not recognize the name, but you would recognize the face. Hot Tub Time Machine, I believe. Anchorman, he was the sportscaster in there. What was the day like on Saturday at Indiana Grand?
It was, it was one of the greatest days I've been there. I've been coming out here for 7 years. I've been part of, not only with TVG, but part of the broadcast team now for Centaur Gaming for both racetracks, Hoosier Park and Indiana Grand, for the last couple of years, and it's been tremendous. The most people they've ever had out there, I think it was somewhere over 12,000, 13,000 showed up. It was being broadcast all throughout the Midwest on the CW. They made $3.2 million went through the betting terminals. It was phenomenal how much money went through. Koechner, it's kind of funny. He and I have known each other for probably about 15, almost 20 years. We've had the same agent for years in the voiceover world, and we hadn't seen each other in about 3 years, and it was kind of like we'd never left. To me, he's one of the funniest guys out there. He's not only, I think, a really great comedic actor, but he's a great stand-up comedian. And I've never seen a man go through and meet everybody. It sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. He met everybody. He met the crews. He met the people sweeping up. He made it a point that if you wanted a picture, you got it. That was it. He's a tremendous guy, and again, it's just a testament to Indiana Grand and, of course, to Centaur Gaming, Rod Radcliffe, Jim Brown. They spare no expense to make sure it's going to be a big day, and they had a good time, man. It was a good time. It was had by all.
Great. I'm glad to hear that because, as I say, the weather has been so screwy out there. The early part of the meet, things were a little dicey, but I'm glad to hear the big day turned out to be a big day out there. Peter Lorre, we appreciate the visit. Again, if you're going to make it up to Saratoga, give us a shout. We'll get you here live on the backstretch. Otherwise, we'll talk to you down the road.
You got it, Seth. We'll break some bread real time soon.
All right. Peter Lorre, again, Indiana Grand, a little bit earlier. Jeremy Plonk, HorsePlayerNow.com, and much, much more. We started things out with Brian Boyer, Communications Director from the National Museum of Racing. Don't forget, tonight, right across the street, National Museum of Racing, 7 o'clock, free to the public, a pre-Saratoga panel. Ramon Dominguez, Graham Motion, Tom Law, Jack Wolf. Should be a lot of fun. Swing on over to the National Museum of Racing, right across the street from the track. Tonight at 7, it's free. All right, let me just quickly, because I'm running late, run over some of the promotions. Bet 100, Get 100 here at Capital OTB. Starts today, continues through the end of the month. If you join, become a new member of Capital Bets. As soon as you bet 100 in before the end of the month, you will get 100 put in by Capital OTB. Tomorrow, a $50 Vernon Downs bankroll. Learn how you can become a member of the team at CapitalOTB.com. Saturday, there's an online harness knockout challenge sponsored by our friends at Woodbine. More info on that at CapitalOTB.com. And Sunday at the Clubhouse Racebook should be a lot of fun. A Sunday Pick 4 promotion. If you have a losing ticket on the early pick 4, toss your ticket into the hat, and a couple of folks will get selected after the 5th race at Saratoga to play a late pick 4. So more information at capitalotb.com on that Clubhouse Racebook promotion. 711 Central Avenue in Albany. Again, I'm late. I got to wrap up. But we're here every Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday as far as Racing Across America at 10 a.m. And in fact, starting now, it's going to be Mondays as well, because kicking off Friday, track opens. We have one more kind of pre-Saratoga day tomorrow. Should be a lot of fun. And then starting Friday, we kick right in with our Saratoga schedule. But we are here live from Saratoga, Racing Across America. I'm Seth Merrill. Enjoy the racing this afternoon. Let's all cash a few tickets. We'll see you right back here tomorrow morning.
You've been watching Racing Across America with Seth Merrill. Racing Across America has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. Thoroughfan, giving the fan a voice. Find them at thoroughfan.com. And Woodbine Racetrack. Pick, bet, and cheer on world-class horse racing north of the border.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off Track Betting.